Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sick of Shit Broadcasting. Thank you, thank you for those who have joined in the Sick of Shit family and those who continue to do so. I am greatly appreciative. However, as I started, I'm going to have to continue to keep asking you guys to do these things. Those who have subscribed, please hit the like button if you agree with what you hear. Click that notification bell on a regular basis for all broadcasts. Do check back periodically if you don't hear anything or you don't get notified, and see if you need to take steps to ensure that you continue to be notified. Or just put it that way. Please share these messages with anybody that you feel might be willing to listen. Talk to people. Talk to people, because you would be surprised, depending on the environment that you're in, how willing people will be to listen. If you work in retail, that's a great venue for talking to people. It really is. And like I said, you will be surprised sometimes, maybe frequently these days, how often they will actually listen to you and look concerned. You'd be surprised how many of them will look concerned. Getting to the news at hand. There have already been several countries in Asia, Indonesia and India being only two, that have stopped food exports because they see what is on the horizon and they know what's coming. This is not just one or two countries. This is going to be, it already is, a global problem. It just hasn't gotten as bad as it's going to get globally. There is a reason for why it is global and it's going to be bad. Even some European countries have stopped exporting. People think that they know what is causing all this. Some people think it's wealthy people in the western part of the world. Other people think that it's the Russians because of this conflict with, or should I say, alleged conflict with Ukraine. Personally, I feel strongly that none of this was caused by Russia. I don't believe that Putin is any kind of a saint. He's not. He has ties in the past with the KGB, organized crime. I mean, he's no saint. But I don't believe he's the cause of this. I really believe that Zelensky has been doing these awful things to his own people, and he's blaming it on Putin. Putin is only trying to protect the ethnic Russians in the Ukraine from the Ukraine. I got news for you. These people have been treated very badly. Worse than you can imagine. Now, none of these things are the cause of this crisis. The governments throughout the world, globalists throughout the world, coupling with retail corporations to ensure that they gain as much money as they possibly can and as much control as they possibly can over the lives of everyone in the world. What better way to decrease that huge population than by starving people to death? Think about it. And there are many reasons for why this is happening. You've got governments throughout the world that are deliberately telling farmers that they have to do things that will deplete the nutrients in the soil for plants. You've got governments throughout the world paying farmers not to grow food or to grow much less food. You've got what I personally believe to be artificially created natural disasters like drought, floods, etc., all throughout the world. Yeah, I mean, all these things are contributing to the very serious problems that we are currently seeing. Now we've got in this country the very real possibility of railroads going on strike, some of which have already stopped running. Some, not all, but some. We will likely see some degree from that of difference in how much that we can find in the grocery stores and everywhere else. As this continues and progresses, I've told you what's going to happen. We've got the lie that is still being terribly propagated left and right with reference to fossil fuels. We now have learned that if we do not continue burning our fossil fuels, we are going to heat up the planet far faster and a lot worse. Well, and again, great way to get rid of a lot of people. Won't be able to grow any food. At least not in places where there's been way too much water or not enough or none, and which at this point seems to be the majority of the world. So you get all of that in combination, and it's just a recipe for global disaster. Then, of course, you're going to have desperate people who don't know how to put two and two together, and they're not going to understand or comprehend that the best way to achieve survival is by gathering your community together and convincing them that everybody needs to work together and share whatever they have, whatever they can grow, what have you. Instead, people are not going to do that in the beginning. What they're going to do is rob, kill, and steal. That's what they're going to do. So, there's going to be a lot of people dying from that as well. I mean, there's a domino effect that really, I'm just going to come right out and tell you, fertilizer is not needed. It may be needed for dumb farmers who have allowed themselves to be trapped by Monsanto into using their genetically modified seed, which requires Monsanto fertilizer in order to grow these. Those people, they were just stupid. It's so much easier and healthier. It's better to just grow organic. It's not difficult at all. But it's going to come to the point very soon that these farmers, because they did do that, and they do need the Monsanto seed, they do need the chemical fertilizers that have to be used to grow these plants. They won't be able to do that because the cost of fuel has gone up too high, the fertilizer has gone up too high. They can't get the equipment because it's too expensive. All these things combined are causing a huge problem. The only way to get around this is for people to start growing their own food. And they're going to have no choice. Eventually, people are going to have to do it. The ones that won't or are just too lazy, what have you, they're the ones that we're going to have to be looking out for because they're going to be the dangerous ones. I would suggest anybody who is able to do so, you either need to get you a horse, a cow, a donkey, something, get you one of those old time plows, and if you have to, do it that way. If you can't get those things, then a shovel and a hoe is still pretty easy to get at this point. It's hard, It's time consuming, it's backbreaking, but if you want to survive, that's what you're going to have to do. I've told everybody many times, have a pond fully stocked with fish. You need to have some kind of a water source for as long as we can manage it, because we don't know when a drought's going to come in our neck of the woods. But until then, you need to have water, and you need to have space to grow food. You might want to consider being in a valley surrounded by forests, so that if somebody sees where your food is growing, you can grow it someplace where it's not going to be seen. Good idea. Animals are good to have, especially turkey, chickens, rabbits, goats for milk. Just use your head. Just use your head. But this is what's going on. This is what we have coming, and it's not looking like it's going to get any better at all. It really looks to me like those who are going to survive are going to have no choice but to become agrarian. That is what it's going to come to. Only the agrarian communities are going to survive. If you're not going to be in one of those, you're likely not going to make it. Till next time, Mr. Sick Shit, signing out.